See, we all got control issues. See, we want to help God manipulate the situation to work it out for what we think is for our good. But once again, we talked about what happened to Mary, and Mary could have worked it out for what she thought was good. She would have been killing herself. Literally. Damning her own soul to hell. But if you trust the sovereign God, see, his sovereignness, he knows all. He's omnipotent, right? He knows everything. If he knows everything, he knows what's about to happen. He knows what's around the corner. He knows what to shield you from, what to protect you from, what to tell you to stop, to keep you from being hurt. But you want to go on because that's what you think is right. Once we learn how to give up control, we gain control. Say it again. Once you learn how to give up your control, you gain the control of God and the provision that lies therein. Amen? Amen. Keep reading for me.
Then Peter called to him, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you by walking on the water. All right, come, Jesus said. So Peter went over to the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus.
Stop. He had enough faith to put his foot out of the boat while the storm is still going on. Step out on the water and walk towards Jesus. But he had a problem. He did not live completely by faith. He was living by what he saw. He saw Jesus do it. So he thought, if Jesus can do it, he can help me to do it. Right? But he saw that. But see, his faith couldn't keep him. See, he didn't have the faith in the fact that he was actually doing what Jesus allowed him to do. You understand what I'm saying? He saw Jesus do it, so he tried to emulate it. But when it came to having the faith of God to really sustain you and keep you, he faltered. See, some of us can do things because we see other people doing it. But when God calls you to do something, do you really have the faith to do it? See, his carnal mind, he saw it, but his faith couldn't sustain it. Some of us start out strong. Yeah, I saw some infomercial on TV where this man made $1 million in real estate. Oh, I'm starting out strong. But this ain't quite working out quick as I thought it would. I got to do more than I thought I had to do. This wasn't for me. What happened to your internal fortitude, your faith? What happened to that? See, that's where we miss the mark so often. God has called us to greatness, yet we live beneath our privilege, being caught in the prison of our own intellect. Amen. Okay, let's keep reading.
But when he looked around at the high waves, he was terrified and began to sink.
It's walking by sight again. Go ahead.
Save me, Lord, he shouted. Instantly, Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed him. You don't have much faith, Jesus said. Why did you doubt me? When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped.
Think about that. That's just everything I just said. You don't have much faith. You want to emulate. See, that's the thing about so many of us want to do what we see other people doing, but we're not willing to pay the price they pay. We were watching, my wife sent me this this videotape of this motivational speaker, and he was going around. He was in his school. It was the most awesome thing I've ever seen. It was life impacting for me. He was going around his school. Now, apparently, this young man, he was a young man too, but he had some financial means, and apparently, he was giving away scholarship money. Right? And he was walking around the school. He had a nice button-down shirt with a baseball cap. Just a brother. He wasn't nothing special, no suited up. He came just as he was. But he was talking about making it. Really, really, really making things happen in your life. And he told this story of this guru. I see a smile, so I think somebody else has seen the video. Of this guru who was rich, and the young man who wanted to be rich like the guru. So he asked the guru, what can I have to do to be rich? And the young man, and the guru said, if you want to be rich, he said, I want to be rich. He said, okay, meet me at 4 o'clock in the morning at the beach. He said, the young man thought to himself, I don't want to go swimming, I want to be rich, but if this old man knows what he's talking about, I'll meet him there. So he was there the next morning, came with a suit on, he wasn't dressed appropriately. He didn't ask enough questions. So he came 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark to the beach in a suit. The old man said, come out into the water. So the young man stepped out of the water. He was up to his waist. He's thinking, this old man crazy. What does this have to do with me getting rich? He said, now come out a little further. The young man came up to his shoulders. And the young man was like, forget this. This old man is crazy. He started to turn around. He said, I thought you said you wanted to be successful. He said, I do. But I don't want to learn how to swim. He said, come back out. So he came back out, and the guru grabbed him by his head and dumped him under the water and held him there. And he said the young man was fighting for his life. He was scratching and fighting and scratching and fighting. And finally, the old man, right when he was about to pass out, let him up. And he looked at the young man and he said, what did you learn? What did you want, man? He said, I wanted to breathe. The guru said to the young boy, when you want to be successful, as much as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. When you want God, as much as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful with God. When you want to be pleasing in His sight as much as you want to breathe, then you will be pleasing. And then your actions will conform to the will of God. Amen. But until then, you're missing it. That's the thing about it. We don't want to do stuff to the point of you gotta breathe. You can't hold your breath longer than a certain amount of time. And everything in you is going to make you cry out, breathe, stop, breathe. Do you ever want something so bad when you're willing to work that hard to get it? When you're willing to forego sleep to get it? He talked about that. People who are successful in their character traits. I was watching a few years back, they had a thing on BET. It was like the thing with Donald Trump. Who wants, what is it? The Apprentice. All right, but this was with Damian Dash, who was the head of Rockefeller Records and Pro Kids shoes, and he had a shoe line, he had a liquor line, he had the record label, he had all these multiple interests going on, and he was sitting in the position of Donald Trump, where he was having all these young people that wanted to be his apprentice, wanted to work for him, wanted to do what he had to do. He was the guru. And he had them doing all this stuff. And they were like wondering, they would be asleep in bed 2 o'clock in the morning, they'd get a call and meet him at the gym. And I remember this one episode, they met him at the gym and he was sitting there beating the box, beating the bag. And they're like, we're at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York City at a boxing gym. Why are we here? And he told them, I don't sleep. This is the only time I get my workout on because I'm working, I'm doing my thing. I don't sleep. And they were complaining. Wow, we getting up at 2 o'clock. There ain't no business going on at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why are we here in the middle of the night? We didn't sleep. It was working. The same exact thing with Puffy. Same exact thing. If y'all ever watched Making the Band, any of those first few years, he would get him up in the middle of the night doing something. He was going from one thing to another. He couldn't even stay there too long because he had to go on to something else. While they were sleeping in the middle of the night, he was still working. The young man on the video talked about Beyonce, how when she was making the movie, she forgot to eat for 3 days so she was so consumed with what she was doing. He's also talked about 50 Cent. When he was making something or Die Trying, what's that movie he made? Get Rich or Die Trying. They talked about how he hadn't slept for days because he would go from the movie set to the recording studio to make the soundtrack, back to the movie set to the recording studio, and how he didn't sleep. And when they asked him, why doesn't he sleep? He told them, sleeping is for people that are broke. Do you want God like that? We talk about we want to be blessed. We want to be blessed in the Lord kind of thing. Lord, I want the fivefold ministries to all be in me. Lord, help me, Lord God, that when I walk past people, they get healed. Yeah, amen. As you and you say that right before you roll over and go to sleep. How about staying in your word for a little while? How about travailing before the Lord, praying for somebody else, interceding for somebody else, seeking God first, seeking Him to explore your own heart? How about that? While you're trying to sleep. Do you really want it? Let's read Mark. I got one story.
Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. Frantically, they woke him up shouting, "Teacher, don't you even care that we're going to drown?" When he woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the water, "Quiet down." Suddenly, the wind stopped, and there was a great calm.
I'm sorry.